Well, how about that? The Angels clinched the series win thanks to the first win as a starting pitcher for Griffin Canning since the month of June. We'll take it. The Mets are trying to make it to the playoffs. We're just trying to survive and not get to 100 losses, and we come out here and steal a series win. We'll talk about an exciting win and why this one was all about Ron Washington on today's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo Hopefuls. Hello, Postcast people, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. The Angels have won a series for the first time since the middle to late July, but more importantly, Griffin Canning gets his first win as a starting pitcher since June 24th. That's right. It's been quite a while. So real happy for him. The offense wasn't great, but this game was all about the pitching. And more importantly, this game was all about Ron Washington. Not only does he pick up Griffin Canning, help him get through 5 innings, but then he, manipulates and maneuvers with the bullpen phenomenally. And despite no Ben Joyce today, the Angels bullpen was absolutely perfect to clinch a 3-2 win over the Mets, a really costly loss for the New York Mets. We know they are trying to steal an NL wildcard spot. We're just trying to avoid 100 losses, and certainly a series win will help that cause. Shout out to everybody in here, as always. Appreciate you all so much. If you haven't already, go ahead and flip that phone upwards or scroll down on your laptop and leave a like. Leave comments, of course, live. I get to all the comments throughout this show. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We will talk about performance from the offense. We will talk about a great job by the bullpen, but we will start today talking about Griffin Canning and, more importantly, Ron Washington. But before we get into any of that, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Like we said, Griffin Canning coming into this one, he had not been terrible or anything. It was a really, to be honest, he kind of was. It was a really rough month of July for Griffin Canning. He had 5 appearances, and just looking at the game log real quick, in his last start, he gave up 6 runs. He did have a game before that where he gave up 1 run in 5 innings, but then 6 runs, 2 runs in just 4 1/3, and then 4 runs in just 4 1/3. Not great there. He was not great in his last start in the month of June either against the Detroit Tigers, giving up 5 runs, 4 of them earned in 6 innings. His last win came all the way back on June 24th against the Oakland A's, where he gave up just 1 earned run in 7 innings, which honestly is probably one of his best starts of the year. In fact, I think it is his best start of the year, the only time he's made it through 7 innings. And he certainly was not great today by any means. One of the rare games where the stats might actually be a little generous. He only gives up 3 hits, but he walked 4 guys. He couldn't seem to get the first 2 guys out in just about any inning. There was always some sort of conflict, some sort of challenge on the bases, whether it's a walk, whether it's a costly error by Zach Neto that gives up a run. But 8 strikeouts, and most importantly, when they really needed him to lock it in, specifically when Ron Washington comes out and talks to Griffin Canning in that 5th inning, he's able to do the job. And I cannot overstate how important this was, because not only is Griffin Canning, a guy who does not go deep very often, not only has he been really bad, hasn't won in over a month, he's consistently, like I just told you, giving up 4, 5, 6 runs, not getting very deep in games. Obviously, an atrocious record at 3-10 with an ERA over 5. Not only do we know all that coming into the start and even coming into that 5th inning, but it's an interesting day because the bullpen is weak. Ben Joyce lit it up, was phenomenal yesterday. He's not available today. Hunter Strickland is available, but he's been awful. All right, Hans Kraus, I don't even know if he was available, but he hasn't been great either. So you're dealing with Baumann and Marte and Contreras as the guys coming in. And I will tell you right now what I truly believe. wholeheartedly. If Canning does not get through the 5th inning, if Ron Washington, when he comes out and talks to Griffin Canning in the 5th inning, if instead of doing that, he takes him out like a normal manager does when they come out to the mound, Ron Washington really one of the only ones that still comes out, and it's not guaranteed he's going to take the guy out. Sometimes he's just going to give you a pep talk. We know that, this season. And if in that moment he acts like most managers and takes Griffin Canning out in that moment, I don't think the bullpen does what it does. Because instead of Jose Marte coming out the following inning to the bases empty, a fresh inning, if he comes out with traffic on the bases, I don't know how confident I am in Jose Marte getting out of the inning. I know he's been great. I know the ERA is now 2.55. Got to give him his credit. He has certainly exceeded expectations, but I don't know how confident I am if he comes up, especially with guys like JD Martinez coming up, who seems to be an Angel killer, at least this series. Obviously, Pete Alonso. I think the Mets probably score some runs. And for Griffin Canning, but most importantly, for Ron Washington to come out, have the mound visit, talk to Griffin Canning, and, it's not the first time, it's certainly not the first time we've seen Ron Washington come out and talk to any starting pitcher. That's kind of his thing. Also not the first time he comes out and, puts his arm around the guy or whatever. But for him to come out with Griffin Canning, specifically, a guy who's been struggling, but also a guy that Ron Washington has kind of made it a point to put his arm around multiple times this year and say, look, we need you, Griffin Canning. Even if at this point the season is just a race to not getting to 100 losses, we need Griffin Canning for that. He's the 3rd starting pitcher in this rotation. We really only have 3 starting pitchers in this rotation. And he has not been good by any means, but we need him. We need him. And so Ron Washington now multiple times, I think it was in the previous start or maybe 2 starts ago, he puts his arm around him in the dugout, sort of, makes Griffin Canning feel better. Today he comes out and gives him one of those Ron Washington pep talks on the mound, and it was the difference. I'm not a guy who normally says, oh, it's a pep talk, and oh, it's all about emotion and effort and all this. I usually subscribe to the belief that these are professionals. It's not about emotion. It's about execution and just performance 95% of the time. But it's different. It is different with Griffin Canning. We know he's been awful in the first inning. That's got to be an emotional, mental thing. We know he's not gone deep in games. That's, sure, partially a talent and performance thing, but also partially a mental thing. So once again, Ron Washington is the story today. As much as Griffin Canning deserves his credit for finally getting a win for the first time since June, and for only giving up 1 earned run. Like I said, the only other run came via an error by Zach Neto. So absolutely, he deserves his credit, Griffin Canning. But Ron Washington deserves even more. So shout out to Ron, shout out to Griffin Canning. Really good job. One more time, if you did not hear the stat line, Griffin Canning, 5 innings pitched, just 3 hits, 2 runs, only 1 of them earned. He did have 4 walks, not great. And one thing that Griffin Canning really needs to work on is when you don't have electric stuff, which he does not. He is not a Jose Soriano. He's not a Ben Joyce. He's not even a Tyler Anderson, who certainly doesn't have electric stuff, but has kind of nasty stuff at times. Griffin Canning is none of those things. None of those guys. He cannot be wild. A guy who's throwing a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and stuff with minimal movement, there's no excuse to have 4 walks. So certainly a net positive, the win, the resilience, but you got to work on those walks, man. There's no reason he should be walking 4 guys without having crazy electric stuff. On the other hand, kind of out of nowhere, 8 strikeouts for Griffin Canning today. Wait a second. And one more thing I will say, and what I usually say, you can't understate the added pressure when your lineup's doing nothing. And today is another one of those days where, let's be honest, the Angels lineup did absolutely nothing. The Angels win despite having 4 hits. They also didn't, Griffin Canning and the rest of the bullpen also didn't get any help because there was 3 errors. So if you told me the Angels going to come into this one after stunning the Mets yesterday, the Mets are in the middle of a heated playoff push, and the Angels are going to have 4 hits and 3 errors, 99 out of 100 times the Angels are going to lose that game. So once again, just another reason to give Griffin Canning, the bullpen, which we'll get to after the break, and Ron Washington so much credit, because the lineup did not get it done, and the fielders did not get it done today. The position players did not get it done offensively or defensively. And so much credit to the pitching staff, to Ron Washington, for somehow turning abysmal performances offensively and defensively into a win against a team that cannot afford to lose. It's a huge win. I wouldn't say it's really an encouraging win. Not many great performances offensively, like I'm saying. Not some questionable things defensively. But at the end of the day, it's a win. A win is a win, and I'm not going to complain when this team is in a tighter race to not lose 100 games than they are to even sniff the playoffs. So with all that being said, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we will talk about the bullpen, because arguably even more impressive than Griffin Canning was the bullpen. And not the guys you'd expect. Not Hans Krause a month ago. Not Ben Joyce recently. Heck, not even Hunter Strickland or Matt Moore. Guys you wouldn't expect to be great, they were great today, and they deserve their flowers. We'll give them to them after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is once again brought to you by the fantastic new sponsor, Liquid IV. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV, and specifically their Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. You got to get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the _1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. If you don't know what Liquid IV is, it's a little powder that you pour in with some water, and it gives you way more hydration with electrolytes and nutrients and minerals and all that good stuff. Way more than just a glass of water. And also, it tastes better than just a glass of water. It's a win when I use it. I just got back from the gym. Like literally, I finished up at the gym kind of when the first or second innings of the game was starting. And I use Liquid IV during the lift to give me more energy, to give me more hydration, to keep me going, especially on a hot day when you're sweating. You need it. You need it. So tear, pour, and live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone, powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. There's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink and 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. Always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So if you got any sort of, sensitivity or allergy or whatever, you don't got to worry. So, no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. And like someone said in the comment section in a previous episode, sometimes the Angels offense looks like it needs Liquid IV. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I forgot to say it, but I am Gavin Carlson. If you don't know who I am, I spent not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, specifically covering college sports while I was in college, and I am now, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. The Angels have a series win, their first series win of August, albeit their first series of August, so a nice way to open up the month, with a 3-2 win over the Mets. Not a great offensive performance, not a great defensive performance. Just 4 hits and 3 errors. But somehow that's enough to earn a win because, like we already talked about, Griffin Canning, boosted by great emotional managerial performance from Ron Washington, able to have 5 innings where he gives up just 3 hits, just 1 earned run, 2 runs overall. And then more importantly, I say more importantly a lot today, I don't know why, but even more impressive than Griffin Canning was the bullpen. And that's what we got to talk about right now. Because like I said, Canning deserves credit for getting through 5, because I still hold my belief that if Marte comes in to try to close out the 5th there, I just have a bad feeling. But instead, Marte gets to come out in the 6th inning, fresh slate, and he does really, really well. He, in 2 innings pitched, gives up just 1 hit, no walks, no chaos. He gets the hold, and the ERA is down to 2.55. Really impressive. Not crazy electric stuff, but let's be honest. When you're a bullpen pitcher, it's obviously got to be more electric than just a basic starter or Griffin Canning, a Zach type of pitcher. And Jose Marte has really exceeded expectations. Like I said, 2.55 ERA now. And, he's not young. He's not old, though. He's 28. And, career-wise, a 5.79 ERA in 38 games. Not good, right, at all. So really exceeding expectations this year. Once again, another reason why the coaching staff for the pitchers, the pitching coaching staff deserves a whole lot of credit. How many times have I said that this team needs to score just like 5 runs to guarantee wins? And they don't even do that again today. They only score 3 and they get the win. Because once again, this pitching staff, full of a bunch of names that you hardly even know, that really only has a rotation of 3 starting pitchers right now, and a bunch of veteran relievers that are underwhelming, Matt Moore, Hunter Strickland, and a couple veteran relievers that you just traded away, Carlos Estevez, Luis Garcia. Despite all of those factors, this staff overall is getting it done, and the coaches deserve a whole lot of credit. Like I said, Jose Marte, in his career, including this great year, the ERA is 5.79. But that's with him in 13 games in 17 and 2/3 innings pitched, having a 2.55 ERA this year. That's like not borderline. That is just flat out good. And rarely do you see a guy who's 28 suddenly turn the tide on his career. But that is what he is doing. And it's not like he hasn't been with the team this whole time. Of course, he's been with the Angels since 2021. But this staff specifically, not managers of the past, not pitching coaches and staffs of the past. 2024 Angels coaches are getting the job done with Jose Marte. I mean, look at it. I have it in front of me. The ERA in 2021, albeit just 4 innings pitched, 9. In 2022, 11 innings pitched, 7.36. Last year, only 9 1/3 innings pitched. But guess what? The reason the innings pitched on these years are so low is because he was no good. 8.68 ERA last year. And out of nowhere this year, a 2.55 ERA. It's just credit has to be given to the coaching staff for turning around the careers of multiple pitchers this year. We talked about Carson Fulmer in the past, exceeding expectations, right? Kind of out of nowhere. And Jose Marte, another example. Now, Mike Baumann, I'm not sure the exact pronunciation, but obviously recently acquired by the Angels at the deadline, and he was great as well today. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. The ERA is not great. It's down to 4.7, but deserves his credit. Got the job done today. And then probably most surprising of all, Roansy Contreras, who is not terrible, who doesn't have terrible stuff. He actually has kind of an interesting pitch repertoire. But you can't lie and tell me that in the 9th inning, Roansy Contreras comes out instead of Ben Joyce, and you're telling me you're not nervous? Hunter Strickland hasn't been able to get it done. Hans Kraus hasn't been able to get it done. And in the 9th inning, not Ben Joyce, it's Roansy Contreras. But boy, talk about silencing the haters, talk about silencing me, talking about getting rid of any nerves that any fans had. He made it look easy in the 9th. 2 strikeouts and a fly-out foul ball fly-out. And not against the best pitchers in the lineup, but not terrible. Francisco Alvarez strikes him out. Really, really nice. Falls behind 0-1 on a not bad pitch, but then a sinker for a strike, a sweeper, high and away, fouled off, and then a slider outside, perfect location, foul tip, strike 3. Then he gets the fly out, like I said, in foul territory against Jeff McNeil. Gets ahead, doesn't waste any time. First pitch curveball, keeping them on their toes. Then goes from first pitch curveball, and specifically, if you look at the pitch chart of this at-bat, this is what I love to see. This is what I was talking about in Zach Neto's 3-run homer yesterday, and about how impressive that was, given a lot of pitches were all starting at the same eye level, up and in, and then breaking different ways. Once again, we see that here. This is just great pitching. A curveball that, sure, it ends up being kind of down the middle, but obviously it's a curveball, so it looks like it's high and away and ends up breaking down the middle. Then guess what the second pitch is? Another pitch that starts high away, but it stays high and away with the fastball. And then what's the third pitch? A slider that sure looks right down the middle, but once again looked like it would start high and away and then is somewhere else. So that's why you see 2 of those 3 pitches go right down the middle, and yet none of them are crushed, because it's not always about keeping the ball in the corner. It's about making every pitch look like it's going to be on the corner and then having it break different ways. And then what happens? The 4th pitch of the at-bat starts outside once again, just like the first 4. And despite it being a fastball that's way outside, I mean way outside, McNeil swings. Because same thing, when all 4 pitches look like they're the same pitch out of his hand, they all start away, it's hard to know where that ball is going. And so this one happens to be a fastball that stays way outside. I don't even know if Contreras meant to throw it there, but McNeil thinks it's breaking in to the strike zone. It's not. And he barely, pokes a fly out into foul territory. That's great pitching. And then to cap it off against Harrison Bader, once again, 1, 2, 3. A high slider. I don't think the intention was to throw a high but down the middle slider. But then you go from slider to fastball right down the middle. But once again, you're keeping them on your toes at least. Fouled off. And then on 0-2, a perfect pitch. A perfect pitch. And back-to-back games where the Angels clinched the game with a save, with a strikeout on a perfect pitch. It's kind of hard for 105 to not be perfect no matter where it is. Yesterday, thank you, Ben Joyce. But today, a perfect slider, down and away, swing and a miss, strike 3, game over. So how about Roansy Contreras? It deserves a lot of credit. So does Mike Baumann. So does Jose Marte. And once again, Ron Washington and the whole staff deserve a lot of credit, not only for managing this game, but for really making a lot of bullpen arms and a couple starters exceed expectations all year. All year. The Angels have no business winning this game, scoring 3 runs on 4 hits, while also having 3 errors defensively. But they did it. We'll take it, baby. We will take it. We're going to take our last break here. When we come back, we'll get to those comments, and we will just, preview the Yankees series a little bit. We know things didn't go the best when the Yankees came to town. Now we get the day off tomorrow. We go to the Bronx. What do I want to see from our Angels in that series? I'll let you know after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. And finally, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. What in the world is Prize Picks? How do you not know, man? All right, I'll be nice. But if you don't, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with how many active members? 5 million people play Prize Picks. Why? Because it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, you don't got to compete against other people with lineups that are generated by AI and statistical models and all this jazz. It's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's right, you can turn $10 into $1,000. And here's the best part. It's the Olympics, so you can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, gymnastics, so much more. It's a great time to watch Team USA and, root them on with Prize Picks. Also, if you're looking for promotions on Tuesdays, certain player stat projections are lowered, and on Fridays, you get your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup. So, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. What is it? It's that easy. Back here live on a victory postcast here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. Angels 3, Mets 2. A really costly loss for a Mets team that's been playing really well, that's in the middle of a really serious, tight playoff push. Costly series loss for them. Big time series win for us as we continue our race to not lose 100 games. Let's get to the comment section. We had some Dodgers fans in here. I don't know what happened in the Dodgers game. Actually, I will quickly use this amazing thing called Google and type in Dodgers and see that the Dodgers did survive 3-2 to avoid a series loss against the Oakland A's. I guess that's, obviously I'm rooting for the A's there, but if there is silver lining, we're now back to 3.5 up on the A's. Woohoo! Not going to get last place in the AL West, hopefully. Skyler, I believe the first-year Angel fan, says, light that baby up. Bullpen, great job. Quality series W. Let's build on this in the Bronx. Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely agree with everything you said. And I'm Angel. Nice game by Canning and the Neto triple. And that reminds me, we got to talk about the offense a little bit. I know they didn't do much, but there were still 4 hits. Neto, obviously the big triple to spark the scoring. The Angels scored 2 runs in the second, 1 run in the third. If you missed the game, I'll quickly break it down for you. I forgot to talk about the offense today. Taylor Ward had a leadoff single in the bottom of the second, followed up by a double from Joe Adell. slow Taylor Ward does not score. So it's second and third with nobody out. And then Quintana, who was pretty reckless today, throws a wild pitch. Taylor Ward scores. Joe Adell gets the third. Then Charles LeBlanc, not LeBlanc, LeBlanc, the French guy, or I think he's French-Canadian. LeBlanc walks. So it's now first and third with still nobody out. And Matt Thaiss does his job. He continues to be pretty solid, getting opportunities to play right now. Gets a sac fly. Joe Adell scores, but unfortunately, that's all the Angels had, despite still have a runner on first in Charles LeBlanc. Back-to-back flyouts from Stefanik and Shanuel and that inning, but still 2 runs, we will take it. You got some help from Jose Quintana, which makes the 3 runs look even less impressive when you're getting help from the opposing pitcher. But then probably the biggest hit of the game, a Zach Neto triple, continues a great series for him. Just a great piece of hitting on 1-1. He gets a curveball down and away, and he's able to hit one pretty darn deep to center field, 336 feet, gets all the way to third. Then Ohapi walks. Not an intentional walk, but basically none of them were that close. And then Kevin Pillar able to get the sac fly. So it was Thaiss the inning before, Pillar in this one. Taylor Ward actually got hit by a pitch. He just continues to get hit by pitches, but then 2 flyouts from Adell and LeBlanc. And that rally, that was all the Angels had. And they got a lot of help. Like I said, Quintana was not great. He had 4 walks. He also hit a guy. He had a wild pitch. There was a pass ball as well. He only gave up 3 hits, but he gives up 3 runs. And he's now 6-7, even though the ERA is 3.95. Once he came out, the Angels had nothing because they weren't getting help anymore. No more walks, no more wild pitches and all that. Odavino, shuts us down. Young shuts us down. Matone, I don't even know. He shuts us down as well. And a lot of strikeouts, too. The bullpen, in just 3 innings combined, there's 6 strikeouts. 6 of the 9 outs via the strikeouts. So the Angels' offense was really, really bad today. Let's be honest. 4 hits, 6 strikeouts. Just in those 3 innings, 10 strikeouts, 4 hits. Not good. But we'll take it. We will absolutely take it. And shout out to Anaheim Angel for reminding me to actually talk about the lineup, even though it was pretty darn disappointing. Neto back in the 2-hole. Did do, obviously had the biggest hit of the game. Got to give him his credit. Logan Ohapi, I still like him at the 3 spot. Taylor Ward, I like at 5th spot instead of 3rd because he strikes out at least once, sometimes twice. He does again today. Joe Adell quietly moving up the lineup a little bit. The average not really moving up that much. It's still at 196. And another guy I still want to see get at-bats is Michael Stefanik. He hits 9th today, but tell me why he is hitting below LeBlanc. Stefanik, there is something there still, I think. You heard me say it yesterday. You'll hear me say it again today. Don't sleep on LeBlanc. Don't give up on him yet, all right? I think he's still got something in him. As I just realized, the background behind me is suddenly getting darker. I guess the sun's not going down. It's 4:35. I guess my windows are in a shadow right now. But anyways, shout out to the comments there. KC24J, as always, says, light that baby up. Big series win at home. Absolutely. Anthony Jimenez, not much offensively, but a win. I'll take it. KC24J adds solid effort beating a hot team. Here's Andrew Ty B. I believe it's my first time seeing that name. So welcome to the comment section. Maybe welcome to the podcast overall. He says, my little niece went to her first game today, baby, and got a ball. Whoa. Now that's a big deal. I've never got a ball at a baseball game. I don't seem to have good luck. The one thing I have really good luck with is signatures. You see behind me, I got just some of the many things I've gotten signed. Brazil, Christian Pulisic. I got a Chelsea banner signed by the whole team. KD jersey signed behind me. I've got a Chris Paul signature. I have like a flag from a golf tournament that like was signed by basically everyone at the golf tournament. I've had really good luck with signatures. I've also got stuff I earned from my Little League days. Willie Mays signed balls. Willie McCovey signed balls. Buster Posey signed balls. Clearly, I grew up in the Bay Area. But one thing I have never gotten is a ball, a foul ball on a baseball game, or maybe because it was your little niece, maybe a player was nice enough to just notice your niece and give the ball to him. But either way, your niece goes to the first game, she gets a ball, and she sees a dub. Tell her that she needs to go to every game because despite a bad performance from the offense, we got to win, and I think it is your niece's doing. So shout out to her. Shout out to you as well, being a good uncle and helping the Angels get a win. Finally, Jeff says, hope the Angels don't get swept by the Yankees. Death, taxes, and Jeff having a comment that mentions us getting swept. Let's hope. I think a win in the Bronx, whether even it's just one, is a successful series. Because like I said in a previous postcast or two ago, a win a series keeps the 100 losses away. An apple away keeps the doctor away, and a win or two, or really just one win, a series, keeps the 100 losses away. We're one win away from 50 wins. Obviously, the magic number is 63 to avoid that 100-loss season. And Anaheim Angels says, Jeff? Why? I know. He always has to mention it, but hopefully he's wrong. Hopefully he's wrong. Like he said, he's hoping he's wrong. We hope he is wrong as well. But with all that being said, it's Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. You still got like 7 hours of your Sunday afternoon, evening, and night. I'm actually going to go on a run because breaking personal news, not that any of you guys really care that much, but I, yesterday, on a whim, decided I'm going to run a half marathon. And I'm going to do it in September. I'm giving myself like a month and a half to prep for a half marathon. I do go on runs about once or twice a week, but certainly nothing to the level of 13 miles. So I had to go run. I think I'm running about 3 miles, 4 miles today, and I've got a big run. I'm waiting until the Angels have the day off tomorrow. I'm going to run about 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 miles tomorrow and see how the heck that goes. So unlike me, go have a relaxing rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening. And I won't see you tomorrow. The Angels have the day off tomorrow, but we will be back here on Tuesday as the Angels travel to the Bronx to take on the Yankees. 3-2 the final. The Angels win the game. The Angels win the series over the Mets. Go enjoy that Sunday, and I'll see you all back here after the day off on Tuesday. And as always, go Halos. Take care, everybody.